Good morning, my dear boys and girls. Hope you are reading well. And today's class, we shall discuss glycolysis. While starting glycolysis being the first metabolic pathway in the discussion of this topic of metabolism. Metabolism, that is, various transformations of materials which are being taken into the body or which are present in the body. So various substances in the body will be transformed into various other forms. Sometimes they are completely being degraded into the smallest particles or smallest substances. Or sometimes small substances join together and becomes a large substance, a large material. So now, metabolism, the entire spectrum of chemical reactions occurring in the living systems are collectively referred to as a metabolism. So the definition is the entire spectrum of chemical reactions occurring in the living system are collectively referred to as metabolism. The true meaning of it, meta is true and true. Bolism is activities, living activities. True and true living activities is a Latin meaning, a Latin word which means through and through changes, chemical changes, metabolism. Metabolism is broadly divided into two categories. What are those two categories? One is called kata, is breaking down. So a large molecule, a large substance is going to be broken down into smallest particles, smallest substances. What will happen by way of breaking it out? This is mainly happens by using the oxidation and the oxygen presence. And this is what is called oxidation process. See, this oxidation process liberates chemical energy. So, chemical energy which is potentially present in larger molecules is being harvested out by way of oxidation, and this will be empowered on another chemical molecule, the ADP, and in turn becomes ATP, energy-rich complex. So this is how the catabolism ultimately. So the concerned with the breakdown of complex molecules to simplest ones with a concomitant release of energy. This is the catabolism. What is anabolism? You need to add a little bit of energy or reduct by synthetic energy. And by adding the energy and small molecules joining together and producing a complex molecule which is needed in the cells, in the anatomy of cells, or needs some functions which will be done in the cells. So biosynthetic reactions, anabolism, involving the formation of complex molecules from simple precursors. So in gross, a large molecule broken down into smallest molecules, energy is released. And a bit of energy and the smallest molecules joining together and becoming a large molecule. It is a gross definition. Now, we shall discuss the main topic, glycolysis or glycolysis. Glycolysis or glycolysis. Glucose, lysis, breakdown. So simple meaning, Latin meaning is glucose breakdown. Glycolysis. In this glucose breakdown, various inventions rather, you can say, or discoveries, you say, the various great scientists are involved in the deciphering or understanding this whole process of glycolysis. And main scientists involved are Lazzaro, Salangi, the oldest person started, and then the Louis Pasteur, who has been involved in the fermentation, and then Arthur Hardin and another of his associate, Young, Arthur Hardin and Young, ester. There is one glucose 1,6, fructose 1,6 bisphosphate is called as Hardin Young ester. So they were the person who has discovered that particular step. And then von Euler-Chalbin, Otto Warburg, a German, a famous oxidation oxidation processes on various materials. He is the best person who has discovered many of the inventions. And then Carol Lohmann and Louis Leyor, majority of them are Nobel Prize, Nobel winners. Now, in gross, what is glycolysis? Glycolysis is breakdown of glucose. That is what we said. That is a lay word, but a chemical word, oxidation of glucose. How does it done? How is it done? Glucose is converted via glucose 6-phosphate. Here is a junctional point. In the junctional point, even though it is a junctional point, it is a main route of glucose oxidation via glucose 6-phosphate, and then there are many reactions and finally produces pyruvate. So the definition of glycolysis is glucose oxidation to produce pyruvate in case of oxygen presence, that is oxidative, and that is aerobic process. And here it will be further channeled towards this direction into the citric acid cycle. In the aerobic glycolysis, the pyruvate channeled towards the citric acid or TCA cycle. But the aerobic glycolysis means glucose is converted to pyruvate in the presence of oxygen, that is aerobic glycolysis. When glucose is not there, then this will be converted to a blind material or otherwise blind channel, that is production of lactate. Here it stops. Again, the lactate has to be converted back to pyruvate, and it has to be released out into other channels. So, glucose oxidation to pyruvate or glucose oxidation to lactate. In case of aerobic, pyruvate. In case of anaerobic, it is lactate. So now let us see the important. This is the process. Glycolysis pathway is given the name of Emden and Meyerhoff, who has discovered many of the steps in the pathway, and hence, by further remembering these two great scientists, this pathway is given Emden-Meyerhoff's pathway. Glycolysis, aerobic and anaerobic both are same channel, except aerobic pyruvate level it stops and then channeled into further in another metabolic pathway. But whereas in the anaerobic glycolysis, it goes into the lactate production. So now we shall define glycolysis. Definition of glycolysis. Note down: oxidation of glucose to pyruvate in the presence of oxygen, in the bracket aerobic, or lactate in the absence of oxygen, in the bracket anaerobic. This is the complete definition. Again, oxidation of glucose to pyruvate in the presence of oxygen, aerobic, or lactate in the absence of oxygen, anaerobic. So this is the definition. So in the orals, if the examiner asks you, define glycolysis, oxidation of glucose to produce pyruvate in the presence of oxygen, aerobic, or lactate in the absence of oxygen, anaerobic, is the answer. Where is this process, the whole processes in the cell, in the cellular universe, where does these reactions occurs? This all occurs in the cytosol. So all the enzymes which are mediating this process of glycolysis are all present in the cytosolic portion, and all the cells are having this particular capability, this particular glycolysis capability. And now, what are the steps? The whole steps, total steps are 10. Total steps are 10. Total steps are 10. There are, the whole steps are categorized into two phases. Phase 1, where energy is utilized. Energy utilization phase. Here we will be surprised. Actually, the glucose is a channel into oxidative pathway to produce energy. But instead, in the early steps, it is consuming a little energy to become that molecule be activated and be broken down in the pathway. So initially, to do a business, a small investment of 2 molecules of ATP is needed, and ultimately you will get by breaking down, by completing the process of business of this metabolism or glycolysis process, and further channelized into the TCS IPP whole molecule, it will be producing about 38 ATPs in the aerobic glycolysis. And then 2 molecules of investment, you take it out, about 36 molecules of ATP will be finally ultimately generated in the breakdown of glucose via oxidative process and entering into the glycolysis process, the TCA process, glycolysis, and then into the TCA process. And then all these energized electrons and hydrogen ions are all entering into the last oxidative phosphorylation process and generates energy, and the whole thing is complete oxidation of glucose. But glycolysis means glucose to pyruvate. Complete oxidation of glucose now comes into all the steps and ultimately generation of 36 ATPs. So this is what the business occurs. And then phase 1, energy utilization phase. Now we shall discuss glycolysis only. Glucose is cleaved into 2 molecules of glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate. This phase consumes 2 molecules of ATP. This we will see in the molecular level a little later. And in the second phase, energy recovery phase. Now you are slowly getting energy out of this breaking down of the glucose molecule. The 2 molecules of glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate are converted to pyruvate under aerobic state. That's what we define. And with the generation of 10 ATPs, how we'll see it later. Or lactate under anaerobic state with generation of only 2 ATPs. All the reactions are reversible. In this 10 reactions I said, all are reversible reactions, except there are 3 steps. One is glucokinase bar hexokinase stage. GK means glucokinase bar hexokinase, one enzyme name. And phosphofructokinase, another enzyme. And then PK is pyruvate kinase. At these 3 levels, these 3 are non-reversible, irreversible steps. That's why if we want to get glucose from behind pyruvate to generate the glucose, which is a neogenesis process, that's why we defined gluconeogenesis almost reversal of glycolysis, except 3 steps which are totally irreversible, and those are hexokinase bar glucokinase, phosphofructokinase, and pyruvate kinase. And these 3 steps are bypassed by 4 important enzymes in the neogenesis. These 4 irreversible enzymes are bypassed by 4 important neogenetic enzymes. That's why those 4 are called as key enzymes of neogenesis. Gluconeogenesis almost is a reversal, but yet there are 4 important key enzymes, and those 4 key enzymes, you recall back, I have already discussed neogenesis to you. And pyruvate kinase is reversed by 2 important enzymes. One is pyruvate carboxylase, and another one is phosphoenol pyruvate carboxykinase. And then you will get phosphoenol pyruvate, and there, from there everything goes back. And there where fructose 1,6-bisphosphate level, there is going back. This is a reversible, and hence there is a phosphatase is there. Fructose 1,6-bisphosphatase is there. And then again another step is reversible, and later hexokinase step or glucokinase step is reversible. That's why glucose 6-phosphatase, another enzyme which bypasses it and bring it back. So now these are the 3 key important enzymes which are not reversible. not reversible in glycolysis. What are the 10 steps? Let us see. These are 3 of them, but 7 of them are more are there, and totally 10 steps are there. Yes. Now, let us start our voyage. We are travel starting from glucose. This is the glucose molecule. Now, here comes the first enzyme, hexokinase. It acts on glucose, and as a hexokinase, non-specific, not only glucose, others, hexose sugars, or the 6 carbon sugars, also partly it can act, and hence it is called as hexokinase. But mainly acts on glucose. And what is needed now is a ADP, energy is needed, along with the hexokinase. And here, the divalent cation magnesium, here is not written, is very important. Wherever ATP transaction, the magnesium is the one which leads. And hence, today, the corona patients, to have a good energy, people are advising take magnesium and the G. So one of the reason is that magnesium participates in the energy transactions. So good energy for the body, magnesium is needed. Hexokinase and converting the glucose into glucose 6-phosphate. There is another enzyme called GK, glucokinase. This glucokinase also acts on glucose, produces only glucose 6-phosphate. The only difference is glucokinase mainly present in the liver only. In the liver, and whenever there is a high concentrations of glucose, then it starts operating. But hexokinase operates at a lower levels. This is mostly for the generation purpose, energy generation purpose. Glucokinase main intention is to produce glucose 6-phosphate and stores it in the form of glycogen, and in those conditions, glucokinase acts. Okay, let us go forward in our discussion. Glucose 6-phosphate in our glycolysis. Glucose is first step, hexokinase produces glucose 6-phosphate with the help of ATP. ADP is generated, magnesium is used there. Magnesium is helping there as a cofactor. And glucose 6-phosphate is produced. And the next step is glucose 6-phosphate with the help of phosphoglucose isomerase. Mind you, here this is a reversible step, which is not written here. This is a reversible step. This can go on both directions. What you are getting is fructose 6-phosphate. Fructose 6-phosphate. So glucose is becoming fructose. What does it mean? An aldose is becoming a ketose. Such a transaction is called as isomerization. Isomerization. So this is a glucose is there, and a phosphate moiety is there, and hence phosphoglucose. And what is happening is isomerization, and that means an aldose is becoming ketose, and hence it is becoming fructose 6-phosphate. That is the mechanism of phosphoglucose isomerase. Now, and this is irreversible. This is a reversible one, mind you. Here it's not properly written, and then it is now the next step is irreversible. What is this irreversible step? Fructose 6-phosphate is being converted to fructose 1,6-bisphosphate. Fructose 1,6-bisphosphate. This means 2. But there is a diphosphate, there is a bisphosphate. There is a small difference as far as the chemists are concerned. And what is that? Let us discuss first and then see it. Fructose 6-phosphate. Now with the help of high energy ATP, again magnesium, which is not written here, and it is losing its high energy phosphate. ADP is being produced, and that high energy phosphate is joined here at the already 6th position. There is the energy is there, and now 1st position there is going to be the phosphate getting joining or attached. So now 1 phosphate added here and 6. So this is fructose 1,6-bisphosphate. Just now I said what is the diphosphate and what is bisphosphate. At two different carbon molecules, that phosphate molecules are attached. At one position, a phosphate molecule. At a 6th position, another phosphate molecule. At two different carbons, the phosphate molecule here is one, there is one. Total is 2. So such occasions we call it bis. Suppose at the same either one position or at the same sixth position, a phosphate and again one more phosphate joining here, or another phosphate is joining here, then successively few phosphates are there on a single position, then you supposed to call it as a diphosphate. This is IUPAC chemist convention. So I hope you are understood. You would able to understand what is the bisphosphate. Bisphosphate, the phosphates are at two different carbon atoms. A diphosphate at the same carbon atom, phosphate, and again a phosphate, or again phosphate, diphosphate or triphosphate. That is the meaning of it. In the same carbon atom, it will be joined together. So this is fructose 1,6-bisphosphate has been liberated by phosphofructokinase, and this is irreversible reaction. Then now comes an enzyme called aldolase. In the HMP pathway, you have seen aldolase. You have seen aldolase. 3 molecules of carbon molecule, 3 carbon molecule, both of them, they are joining together. Whereas here, leaving, this is also reversible reaction. It is not written, but reversible reaction, both sides. If 2 are there, they can be again fused together by the same aldolase enzyme into back fructose 1,6-bisphosphate. But the fructose 1,6-bisphosphate is broken or cleaved or chiseled in the middle of the molecule by aldolase, producing 2 different, breaking it at the center and producing 2 different molecules, glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate and dihydroxyacetone phosphate. Because on the top is the ketone sugar, and then the bottom is an aldone one, and hence the glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate and dihydroxyacetone phosphate 2 molecules is cleaved into, it is broken into 2 molecules. And then this either dihydroxyacetone phosphate or the glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate can be converted into towards, but mostly in our glycolysis, it is the dihydroxyacetone phosphate is converted to glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate. Again, because a ketone is converted to an aldose, a ketose is converted to aldose. Again, the name is isomerase. Now, glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate isomerase. The glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate isomerase. Here it is phosphoglucose isomerase, because one glucose phosphate, glucose and one phosphate, and hence phosphoglucose isomerase. This is here it is a glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate, and then hence glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate or phosphoglyceraldehyde isomerase. So that is the same analogy. So we are getting from here also we are getting another molecule of glyceraldehyde. So 2 molecules of glyceraldehyde from one glucose. Now, so up to here it is investment phase. Energy we have invested only. We have no release of any energy. So now energy pay off. Otherwise, we are getting back energy out. Now, this glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate, which we have seen in the last page, the triose phosphate dehydrogenase is the next enzyme. Triose phosphate dehydrogenase. Or otherwise, you can say glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate dehydrogenase. Glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate dehydrogenase. That dehydrogenase takes out hydrogen molecules and energizes, energy-rich hydrogen atoms, you can say. And then those ones are added to a coenzyme named NAD, nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide. Nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide. This is a coenzyme formed from your B complex group of vitamin B3 niacin. So now this is oxidized NAD by taking up and adding the hydrogen atoms to this, ions to this, becoming NADH. This becomes NADHs. So now the glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate dehydrogenase is the enzyme which squeezes or takes out hydrogen ions and then adds up to the NAD oxidized material and becomes reduced and then becomes NADHs. This NADH is energy rich molecule. This goes into oxidative phosphorylation and goes to oxidative phosphorylation, and then this is going to harvest ATP molecules. Each NADH produces 3 ATP molecules. There is a small change that can be learned later, 2.5 people say, but you can just remember 3, there is nothing wrong in it. So this is a reversible reaction. And then what is that we are getting? What we are getting here also, a inorganic phosphate is incorporated into in this reaction from the cytosol. And then 1,3-bisphosphoglycerate is liberated. 1,3-bisphosphoglycerate is liberated. This one, so now you should remember 2 molecules are coming. So 2 NADs. Like that, everything is 2 from 1 glucose. So now 1,3-bisphosphoglycerate is the substance that is being generated of this reaction. And this one now further acted upon by another enzyme, phosphoglycerokinase enzyme. Kinase means liberation of energy, in harvesting the energy. It is an energy rich molecule. From here, with the help of this enzyme, phosphoglycerokinase, energy poor ADPs are getting energized as ADPs. So ATP is generated here. So from 2 molecules of ATP is generated. So initially we have invested 2 molecules of ATP, and here you have generated 2 molecules, and this and that nullified, no energy, you can say simply. Up to this level, no energy in these transactions. Later on energy only is the resultant energy. We are getting the energy here afterwards only. So now, after generating the ATPs, this 1,3-bisphosphoglycerate is converted or changed to 3-phosphoglycerate. This 3-phosphoglycerate now acted upon by phosphoglyceromutase. Previously, we are calling it as isomerases. Now we are calling it as mutases. Mutases means the orientation around the carbon only will be changed. This side to this side, this side to this side. You see, OH is present on the right side of it. But instead, if this OH goes onto the some other side, then it is a mutation. It is a mutation. So now, this is next becomes okay. OH from okay. So any orientation changing from one position to another position, is also mutation. Is also not only OH, any atom which will be shifting from one carbon to another carbon, also a mutation. So now 3-phosphoglycerate becoming this phospho energy is shifting to the 2 level, second level carbon. So then it becomes 2-phosphoglycerate. 2-phosphoglycerate. Now here after 2-phosphoglycerate liberation, an enzyme called enolase. This acts and a water molecule is being taken out of this. A water molecule. This is OH and this is the H molecule, and both all 3 are being going out. What is remaining? CH2. And what is remaining here? COP. And this is C double bond O, C is there. This is what is called, now when there is a OH is being taken out of here, from here, and also H from here. So now this carbon and this carbon, they are joined by double bond to saturate it. So now double bond need to be there to satisfy the valency. So CH2 double bond C. So this is what is called ene. This is O and something, all, enol. And the whole molecule is a pyruvate molecule. And hence a phosphorus molecule, phosphate molecule, and enol is there, and it is a pyruvate. Phospho, enol, pyruvate. Phospho, enol, pyruvate. So phosphoenol pyruvate is being generated. And now enolase. Enolase is an enzyme which is having a clinical importance. Whenever we take out the blood from the body and keep it in a say anticoagulant medium, then the blood is not going to clot and it remains in the liquid form. But if it remains in the liquid form, but yet it needs energy. And hence what it does is, whatever the little blood is there, in that blood, naturally there will be a little bit of glucose will be there, and glucose will be taken into the RBCs, and RBC go on breaking down glucose for its survival in that fluid, in the blood fluid. So now, this is what is the survival of RBC in the blood when it is made into liquid, allowed in the liquid form. If you take it as the blood and leave it out just like that, then it gets clotted, mind you. It won't be in the liquid form. It won't be in the liquid form unless a chemical is added. A chemical is added whose name is anticoagulant. So then it will be in the liquid form, but yet it needs food. Where from it gets food? In its surroundings. What is that surroundings? The blood plasma. And the plasma containing glucose. That will flow slowly, eats away. So, when we have taken a blood for the estimation of blood glucose, if we don't estimate immediately, if you leave it like that for a longer time, and then the blood glucose level which was there initially, say 100 milligrams per deciliter, because RBCs are eating away the glucose slowly, with the reference to time. If you leave it up to evening time, morning you take the blood and evening time up to that level, then the glucose which is been present is been taken away, eaten away by the RBCs, and then now if you estimate it, it will be only 40 milligrams of deciliter. Understood? So enolase, and there is one, this purpose, people to prevent this one in the laboratories, they add glycolysis breaking material, and that is fluoride, azide and fluoride. They add very micro quantities to the blood so that the glycolysis process is at a standstill. So glucose level in the plasma will not be used up. So even the estimation takes a little longer time. In the laboratories, it is an inevitable thing. So they need to do one by one. So it inevitably takes a little time. Or from one place to another place, they want to send the blood. And in this transport process, some time is wasted. So there also, they need to add fluoride along with the other anticoagulants. Fluoride or azide has to be added as along with other anticoagulants when the blood glucose is estimated a little late or is being sent to from primary center to reference hospital. This is a must. Every doctor should remember this. How it acts? It breaks or competes enolase. It is a competitive inhibitor of enolase, and hence fluoride is an inhibitor of enolase, and it prevents glycolysis. One application. So now from enolase action, you are getting phosphoenol pyruvate. Then the next enzyme is pyruvate kinase. This is again irreversible step. I said there are two irreversible steps we have already seen. This is the third irreversible step. What is the action of pyruvate kinase? Phosphoenol pyruvate is being upon the action of pyruvate kinase is liberating pyruvate after generating 2 ATPs. So now up to this level, how much is the harvest? 2 molecules of ATP from the glucose. Breakdown in the glycolysis process itself. But you have, I said, there is a energy-rich molecule, NADH. This molecule will be traveled into the mitochondria and each one will be producing 3 ATPs, and 2 such molecules, 2 into 3 is 6, and 6 plus 2, 8. So up to this level of glycolysis, in the aerobic glycolysis, the energy harvest presumed is 6 plus 2, 8 ATPs. And this 2 ATPs and 2 ATPs are cancelled. Or otherwise, if you want to put it in the last phase, up to the last phase, the energy harvest in the whole glycolysis is 8 plus, this is 2, and the previous, this is 2, 4, and plus 6, 10 has been generated, and 2 are invested. That way also you can put it for remembering purpose, that way also you can. And then next is, this is the in detail, glucose, magnesium, glucose with the ATP with the help of hexokinase, and magnesium, glucose 6-phosphate. Then this is acted upon by 2 different enzymes, I said. One is hexokinase, another is glucokinase. What is it? Both are the same action, they will be doing it. But what is the difference between these two? The site of action, all extrahepatic cells are having hexokinase. All the liver and pancreatic beta cells are having glucokinase. And the Km value is low for hexokinase, high affinity. Glucokinase, low affinity or high Km value. And G6-phosphate is an allosteric inhibitor for hexokinase, but it has no effect on glucokinase. Whereas glucagon on hexokinase, there is no effect, but glucagon is an inhibitor for glucokinase. And insulin has no effect on hexokinase, but on glucokinase, insulin stimulates glucokinase, glucagon inhibits glucokinase, and G6PD has no effect on glucokinase. High Km value with low affinity, mainly glucokinase is acting in the liver and pancreatic cells. This is a 2-3 marks question often given in the examinations. And a glucose 6-phosphate, I said it is a junction, and this junction is from the glucose 6-phosphate, this will go in the glycolysis pathway to pyruvate or lactate, or from the glucose 6-phosphate, from the neogenesis pathway, glucose 6-phosphate comes and glucose may be produced, or from the glucose 6-phosphate will be producing glycogen, or glucose 6-phosphate may be going into the HMP shunt pathway. So this is a junction for so many metabolic pathways. And step 3 of glycolysis, irreversible step, that is fructose 6-phosphate with the help of phosphofructokinase with the ATP and magnesium, fructose 1,6-bisphosphate. And step 4, it is being broken in the middle, I said, with the help of aldolase, which is a reversible enzyme. Here it is neatly written. And then fructose 1,6-bisphosphate, and the top one is having ketone, and hence dihydroxyacetone phosphate. And the bottom one, this H goes up, H goes up and producing CH2, and then remaining COH, and that is the COH. So now this is glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate, dihydroxyacetone phosphate, aldolase enzyme. Now this is glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate or triose phosphate isomerase. Dihydroxyacetone phosphate is converted to glyceraldehyde, or sometimes this either way it is possible, a reversible one. And then step 5 is a irreversible. This is a reversible one, NADH generation step. This is a glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate dehydrogenase enzyme, and glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate is becoming NAD, is converted to NADH, and 1,3-bisphosphoglycerate is being formed, and inorganic phosphate is entering here. And next step is 1,3-bisphosphoglycerate, that is being converted to 3-phosphoglycerate by energy-rich phosphate is given to ADP and becoming ATP, and the enzyme name is bisphosphoglycerate kinase. Bis because the phosphate is present at 2 different positions. And 3-phosphoglycerate now further converted by phosphoglyceromutase mutation. The phosphate from the 3 position is shifted to 2nd position, and then the next one, the 2-phosphoglycerate is formed, and then the enolysis by enzyme, and this enzyme with the magnesium help and water is liberated out, and then this becoming a phosphoenol pyruvate is generated, and the inhibitor fluoride and azide we have discussed, and then the step 9 is the reversible step, that is pyruvate kinase step, that is phosphoenol pyruvate is converted to pyruvate by high energy phosphate is being given to ADP, and ADP is generated, and pyruvate kinase is the enzyme, and then this is what the pyruvate comes. And pyruvate by way of enol form and keto form, enol pyruvate and keto pyruvate, and there are two different forms of pyruvate. And then the last step in the anaerobic glycolysis, the lactate dehydrogenase is the most important enzyme. LDH, LDH, LDH. It is clinically important enzyme as well. We are estimating in our clinical laboratory to investigate so many diseases: heart attack, liver disease, muscle disease. These are all associated with increased serum LDH levels. LDH is also versatile enzyme, is having isoenzymes. There are 5 isoenzymes of LDH. LDH 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then this pyruvate in the keto form mainly is being the substrate, and LDH and NADH, the energized NADH. Where did we have energized NADH? In the third step, fourth step of there, we got NADH. And that NADH, I said, will go into the mitochondria and produces energy. Now it will not do it. That NADH is used up here in the LDH mechanism, and again oxidized NAD is coming out. So wherever there is energy come in the form of NADH is reutilized here and becoming, this is converting the pyruvate into the lactate, and the glycolysis, anaerobic glycolysis progresses, and the energy here liberated is only 2 ATP molecules, because there are 4 ATP molecules generated, 2 are neutralized for the investment process, and net energy is only 2 ATPs. So in the anaerobic glycolysis, it is only 2 ATPs. In the aerobic glycolysis, complete oxidation, you will get 36 ATPs. So that is the difference between aerobic and anaerobic. So anaerobic oxidative process, if glucose is oxidized, we will get a lot of energy. But what is the restraint? What is the problem here? You need time. Slowly the energy is liberated. But this is instantaneous energy. In a fraction of, more than a fraction of a second, this is generated. And hence, the sprint, the short run, the fastest runners are the deer when seeing a lion or a tiger. It need to jump and run away instantaneously. That instantaneous energy is possible in the anaerobic glycolysis. So wherever the fast acting muscles are supposed to be acting, then anaerobic glycolysis is the only way. Or wherever there are no the mechanism of anaerobic glycolysis, aerobic glycolysis. Aerobic glycolysis needs mitochondria. There are certain tissues where aerobic glycolysis is not possible. RBC do not possess mitochondria. There also, it is inevitable to have anaerobic glycolysis. And certain tissue like brain, they are totally dependent on anaerobic or glucose as the energy source. Glucose as the energy source. So where in these processes, glucose must be there. Anaerobiasis, glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate. That is at this level, NAD is liberating NADH. That NADH in the pyruvate to lactate stage, the NADH is reutilized and NAD comes, and that NAD is going here again, and glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate. So this is how the step 5 and that's the step 10 are coupled together. Whatever is liberated here is reused, and again the same first molecule of NAD comes, and this process continues to continue this process and produces 2 ATP molecules. So now pyruvate has to become acetyl-CoA. When there is no oxygen, this step is being going to block. So glycolysis, Embden-Meyerhoff pathway. Then what is generated? I said lactic acid is generated. If more lactic acid is generated in the blood, then it becomes acidic, and then lactic acidosis, accumulation of lactic acid in the muscles. When the sprinters, runners, short runners suddenly run or they deal, what will happen after the action is over? Lack of oxygen in the tissues, vigorous exercise, collapsed circulation, myocardial infarction, that is the heart attack, uncontrolled hemorrhage, the oxygen carrying mechanism is gone, shock, there is disproportionate the volume between the blood and its container, that is the vasculature. So in all these cases, oxygen delivery to the tissues is lost, oxygen presence is lost. In all these conditions, the anaerobic glycolysis proceeds. Lactic acid is generated in higher concentrations. Lactic acid is occurring, causing anaerobic glycolysis, pyruvate lactate. But what will happen? Irreversible steps. What are the irreversible steps in the glycolysis? What are the irreversible steps? Hexokinase, phosphofructokinase, pyruvate kinase. I have already discussed. And now, importance of glycolysis is the mainly energy production. In the anaerobic state, it is blocked here. So the energy hexokinase, glucokinase utilizes, phosphofructokinase 1 level utilizes, glyceraldehyde 3 has phosphate dehydrogenase level, 2 NADHs are occurring here in the aerobic state, which are being used up here. So nil energy, phosphoglycerate kinase level +2, both the aerobic as well as anaerobic, and then pyruvate kinase another 2 and another 2, and the total harvest is 2. Here total harvest is 8 because the total is 8. So now aerobic is higher, and further this will go into the TCA cycle, and total oxidation produces 36 here. But here it is blocked, no more, and hence only 2 ATPs. Anaerobic only 2 ATPs. Aerobic complete oxidation, not simple glycolysis. Complete oxidation is going to be 36 ATPs. There is what is called as Rapoport lowering cycle. You have 1,3-bisphosphoglycerate to 3-phosphoglycerate. We just now saw in our glycolysis cycle, glycolysis pathway, and an ADP is being converted to ATP. So energy is generated in our classic pathway. But in RBCs, what will happen is this process is not going to happen, but it takes an alternative pathway. And that alternative pathway is 1,3-bisphosphoglycerate is converted to 2,3-bisphosphoglycerate. What is the mechanism here? From the one phosphate is to be taken out and is given to the second carbon. So then it becomes 2,3-bisphosphoglycerate. So it is a mutation only. So this is a mutation. 1,3-bisphosphoglycerate is getting mutated into 2,3-bisphosphoglycerate, and hence 2,3-bisphosphoglycerate mutase is the enzyme. So then what is the substance that comes? 2,3-bisphosphoglycerate. This is also called as 2,3-DPG. 2,3-DPG or 2,3-BPG. If this molecule is there, this has influence on hemoglobin. Once oxyhemoglobin is there, that oxyhemoglobin carries the oxygen in the blood and goes to the tissues. And after going to the tissues, what it should do? It should give away the oxygen. If it takes the oxygen there and the tissue needs oxygen, if it won't give the oxygen to the tissue, then there is no need. So to give away oxygen, the cooperative molecule is 2,3-bisphosphoglycerate. This cooperates. If 2,3-bisphosphoglycerate is there, it allows or it helps the oxygen is deloaded from hemoglobin. So it will help in the oxygenation process at the tissues when oxyhemoglobin is there. If this concentration is totally reduced, then the oxygen carried by the hemoglobin goes to the tissue, but the hemoglobin will not give away the oxygen to the tissue. It carries back towards the lung. So this is the problem. So 2,3-BPG cooperative in oxygenation. So cooperative effect. So 2,3-B, next what will happen after some time? This bisphosphoglycerate is again acted upon by 2,3-bisphosphoglycerate phosphatase. Phosphatase means one phosphate molecule is being taken out from the molecule. Then what will happen? 3-bisphosphoglycerate is occurred. So same thing. But if it is going in the classic glycerate path, glycolysis path, it liberates an ATP. But if it goes in the alternative path, cycle path, in RBCs only, and this path is going on in RBCs. This is discovered by Rappaport and Lobering, and hence they said this is a Rappaport-Lobering cycle. This is also called 2,3-bisphosphoglycerate cycle. This is a short note, very important short note, frequently asked. 2,3-DPG. The physiologists, without knowing, without discussing anything, they simply call it 2,3-DPG. Bohr effect, that we will see later. Biomedical important significance. What is that? Level of RBC 2,3-DPG are related to tissue demands of oxygen supply. In chronic hypoxemia, this material will be increased. If it is increased, even though oxygen is carrying lesser oxygen, all the oxygen will be deloaded or cooperatively deloaded at the tissues. From the hemoglobin, this 2,3-DPG easily liberates out oxygen and gives to the tissues. So in the chronic hypoxia is also there, where it is in high altitude. COPD, congestive pulmonary disease. And this is also called as carpulmonale. And increased, the 2,3-DPG increased here. And severe anemia, because of anemia, there is a demand for oxygen by the tissues, because oxygen carrying is reduced by the molecules, less number of hemoglobin molecules. So for the adaptation, whatever the little is there, all the oxygen has to be delivered there, and this will be possible if there is a more 2,3-DPG is there. So it is increased there. And in that blood transfusion, it is normally in the citrate dextrose blood, this level is going to be reduced. If inosine, hypoxanthine, is being if it is being produced, is added to it, then this 2,3-DPG levels will be restored. And that is the addition of newer addition of inosine to the blood collection bag. Previously, blood collection bag is containing citrate dextrose, but today newer blood collection tubes or bags are containing inosine also as a preservative. Why? It is to produce more, increase the 2,3-DPG. Fetal hemoglobin is having a high affinity to oxygen, and hence to reduce it, neutralize it. If the fetal 2,3-DPG level is increased, then it will be neutralized, and that is what it is. 2,3-DPG is needed in the fetal stage. There is what is called as Bohr and Haldane effects of 2,3-DPG. The 2,3-DPG influences this oxygen saturation curve, which is a sigmoid curve. Oxygen saturation curve is a sigmoid curve. Hemoglobin percent saturation on one side, and on another side it is oxygenation. How much percent? Today we are saying how much is oxygen saturation in all the corona patients. The most important vital, it should be 98%. It should be 98%. All healthy people, yes, they do have 98 to 100%, even good people. And but when, if it is compromised, it may come down. If 90 is the cutout point, if it is the cutout point 90, it is reduced, then what we should do, all the corona patients should be brought to the oxygen, and then outside oxygen has to be connected. So this is the decision limit, 90 less. But 2,3-DPG, if there is more DPG, the affinity will be reduced. The less DPG, the oxygen affinity to the hemoglobin is increased. If it is increased, it will not leave the oxygen to the tissues. So hypoxia settles. Here the hypoxia is prevented. So increasing 2,3 DPG. Then pyruvate means a metabolic junction. It can go into the lactate, goes towards the alanine, goes towards the acetyl-CoA, goes towards the acetoacetate, phosphoenol pyruvates, etc. And the sources of pyruvate from glycolysis, from alanine, from malic acid, from lactic acid, from serine, from cysteine. These are all various the pool where pyruvate is being generated. From here, neogenesis is possible. From all these things, gluconeogenesis is possible. And the fate of pyruvate is what is the fate? It can, from the glucose, it can come towards or goes back, or it produces mainly acetyl-CoA and TCA cycle. It can produce isolated neogenesis, and this is the what is called as the what is it called it? Alcohol production, brewing technology. Uses it this one, and lactic acid anaerobic glycolysis in that. And next comes the pyruvate dehydrogenase complex. Pyruvate is channeled into aerobic glycolysis pathway into the trichloroacetic acid, TCA cycle, and then the more important junction is PDH complex. This is this is also called as a multi-enzyme complex. It has 3 protein enzyme, subenzyme complexes and 5 coenzyme complexes. We detailedly discuss in the next class. Thank you very much.